Excellent to speak with you, Kiefer. I think the last time we actually spoke and did an interview was back in 2020, right before lockdown. And your opponent, Aaron Chalmers, was actually on that card. You both fought on the same night. Where you're going to fight in the Three Arena in a couple of weeks' time. So it's a great story. Um, what do you make of this fight, and what was your reaction when Aaron's name was given to you? Because you've already started the back and forth as well, which the fans are going to as well.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, it got presented to me a while ago, before my last fight against Cowboy, and I kind of didn't really think much of it. I was like, I don't know, like, do you know what I mean? I'm not into this fucking thing, do you know what I mean? But my mindset back then was just kind of on Cowboy, you know what I mean? And normally, if I have a fight coming up, I get so tunnel vision and one track minded that I don't really give a fuck about anything else, you know what I mean? I'm just thinking about my fight coming up. So I kind of put it on the back burner a little bit, and then after the Cowboy fight, I kind of assumed I'm going to be signed to the UFC straight away. That didn't happen, you know what I mean? So I'm sitting around, I'm training. You know, I got straight back to the gym under the assumption that I'd be fighting in the UFC, maybe London coming up, you know, just to stay ready, stay in shape, stay fit, and be ready to go. But that obviously I didn't get the call, so this got presented again and again, and they were kind of hounding me to fight on it. And they know obviously I'm such a big sell for the Three Arena, and you know, coming over here, they need someone like me to help sell the arena, of course. And the opportunity was big, and I said, you know what, fuck it, man. I need something to. I'm that type of person that I need something coming up. Do you know what I mean? I get very anxious and just sitting around waiting, you know. So I was like, well, what else am I doing? I'm in the gym twice a day, every day anyway, so I may as well have a focus. And it's a boxing fight, you know what I mean? It's very different to an MMA fight. So it's I just said, fuck it, let's do it, let's rock and roll, do you know what I mean? So I'm just excited to get back in and fight in the Three Arena again, have a buzz, you know what I mean?
And like you said, it's an awesome platform for you to keep busy in the meantime against a guy that's got a big name like yourself. You know, he's not had the MMA experience to your extent, but he's fought on Bellator like you did, fought on the same cars that you have. And, you know, you both like the back and forth. He likes the back and forth a bit as well, but he has said in interviews that he heavily feels like the underdog, and he should because you're the more experienced
But
fighter.
like, put it this way, Jamal, look, listen, this is his first actual fight, and that's a fact. You know what I mean? Can you name any of his opponents that he's fought? And don't use Mayweather because that
Yeah,
wasn't a
no, I
fight.
wasn't going to say that.
Don't
I'm
don't
not going
don't
to.
even don't even
No,
mention Mayweather's name, please.
that
Can
was
you
an
mention?
exhibition as well.
Can you name any
No,
of his opponents? No.
no, I can't.
He can't name any of his opponents. So this is his first actual fight. I'm gonna pop his cherry in the Three Arena. Yeah, this is his. He's gonna lose his virginity in the fight game in 10 days time. You know what I mean? And it's gonna be the Big Daddy. So me, I fought some hard fights. I've had some tough tests in front of me, and my last win is off a legend in the sport, the
Yeah.
Cowboy Oliveira. And I don't care who you are, man. You can't make this up. You know, you can be as good in the gym as you want, but until you're under them bright lights in front of a high level elite fighter, it's different. It's different gravy, mate. You know what I mean? And fair play to him. Fair play to him for taking the fight in Dublin. Fair fucking now. Well, look, we're not there yet, so let's not jinx it. But he so far so good. Do you know what I mean? Normally it's around this time I get a phone call, Kiefer, a bit of bad news for you, bro. And I'm sitting there going, fuck right, who's the replacement? But look, fair play. If he shows up, fair play to him, yeah. But I'm telling you now, mate, this is a different ball game when you're in there with a high level fighter. And I'm taking it as an insult that he thinks he can beat me in a boxing fight. You know what I mean? At the start, it was all fun and games, and I was like, oh yeah. But then I'm thinking, hold on a minute, he thinks he can beat me in a fight. Now I'm taking it as a little bit of an insult. So like, my train tomorrow will be my 46th round of sparring. And then on Friday, I have another 6 rounds. So by the time this fight comes around, I've done 52 rounds of sparring in the past 5 weeks. Wow. So you calculate, you do the math there. I've been putting the rounds in hard with high level boxers, and I've not been fucking around here. I know people keep laughing it off and assuming I'm just gonna go out and steamroll them in one round. That's probably not the case. I'm gonna be smart here, and I respect anyone that's gonna be in front of me throwing punches at my head. I'm not going in here thinking this is an easy task, man, because that would be very ignorant of me to do. I'm taking them pretty serious, to be honest. And I understand it will be detrimental to my career if I was to lose. So you best believe I'm taking this very, very serious. And when it comes to fighting, I don't mess around. I don't half-arse do it. So I'm taking this very serious. I've been sparring with some very, very hard boxers. It's been tough. And in 10 days' time, you're going to see an elite level boxer in there. Yeah. And I can't wait to show everybody.
Are you relishing the opportunity to go back and forth with him at the press conference as well? Because you put a nice picture of him pouting on Instagram the other day. That's surely going to rub off
I think he looks lovely, man. I think he looks beautiful in that picture. You know what I mean? He looks gorgeous. Eyebrows all plucked, hair all done, fake tan, lovely. You know what I mean? He looks gorgeous. I put a nice picture up. I got a little bit rattled. I had a look at him and I was like, oh, geez, I'm a bit scared now. You know what I mean? I've never fought someone as beautiful as him, so I was a little bit scared. You know what I mean? A little bit intimidated, if I'm honest. You know what I mean? And I'm a bit rattled. You know what I'm saying?
Have you had a few DMs exchanged, or is it going to be back and forth at the presser? And if he brings it to you, what's going to happen if he tries to get in your face at the face-off? What's going to happen?
If he tries to get in my face, he'd be knocked out on contact. I'm not messing, mate. I don't fuck around. You try to get into my face, you get KO'd on sight. So I wouldn't recommend getting into my face, if I'm honest. If he wants to go back and forth and say what he wants to say and hype up a fight, that's no problem. You come within an inch of me, you're getting KO'd. So I don't think that would be a wise move, if I'm honest. Yeah, this is it's all fun and games until you're in front of me, but don't fuck with me. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, I don't know. Look, I don't plan these things. I'm not a fake. I'm not a script actor. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not an influencer. I know I'm on a card against a celebrity, but I'm a fighter, mate. You know what I mean? I come from nothing. I come from the flats. I come from the streets. So if you want to fuck with me, then fuck with me. See what happens. But this is not for the cameras for me. I'm just me. I'm just doing my thing. You know me years, man. I'm doing this a long time. I show up to fight. This is an opportunity to fight and make money and cross over into a boxing, world. So I'm just taking it as it comes. You know what I'm saying? And we'll have a bit of fun, I'm sure, and we'll have a buzz at the conference and the whole lot, and I'll promote the fight. But I would not recommend getting into my face, if I'm honest with you, bro. Yeah.
Do you respect him? Because I know you said fair play to him for taking the fight, and if the fight does happen, we're not there yet, like you mentioned, but do you respect him as a fighter and as a man for getting in the boxing and MMA circumstances?
Yeah, I respect anyone that makes the walk to the cage of the ring. You know what I mean? Don't care who you are. It's like, it's not even I respect him. I respect anyone that's done it. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people talk shit and a lot of people say they do it and a lot of people call people out and they did it and whatever and they don't do it. You know what I'm saying? If you're backstage and you've got your hands wrapped and you've trained hard and you've made the walk and you stepped in, win, lose, draw, of course I have a level of respect for that because I understand it takes something different. You know what I mean? It takes a lot of courage and a special thing. You know what I mean? And it's unexplainable unless you've done it. So, of course, I have that respect. And the fact that he's fighting me in Dublin, I mean, some balls on this man coming to my hometown and then fighting me. You know what I mean? So. But he's a fan. He's a fan of me. You know what I mean? He's been a fan of me. He knows what's up. He's been at my fights. He's said some nice things to me in the past. He looks up to me. And he'll be looking up to me in 10 days' time when I knock him out. So, but fair play to him, yeah. We'll see what happens when we're in there, yeah.
Prior to this fight getting offered to you, what were your thoughts on the influencer boxing scene? Because from my perspective, right, I see a lot of hardcore boxing and MMA fans hating on it. But the attraction, the audience that it brings, and fair play to him because, like you said, if someone gets in your face at a presser, you'll go for him. You'll go and try and hit him. That's what happens most of the time on these influencer shows. Even though these guys aren't real fighters, they will go for it if someone talks trash to them. And you're a whole different league. Now we're getting professional fighters. Like your teammate Kian is fighting Connor Tierney. He's a legit bare knuckle fighter, Connor as well. So. These are proper fighters coming on these cards now. So these influencer guys don't want to test guys like yourselves. So what were your prior thoughts to it and what are your thoughts on it now that you're involved in it?
Yeah, I like it. You know what I mean? I've liked look, listen, I love fighting. Do you know what I mean? I love fighting and I love all combat sports. So I'll never hate on another combat sport. This seems like a new hybrid version of a combat sport. It's like take a celebrity versus an MMA guy, take a this versus a that. I like it. It's interesting, and some of them have been very interesting. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, it's a cool thing. Yeah, I like it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's funny though because the debate of MMA versus boxing all the time. there's a big reason why nobody is jumping into an MMA fight and doing it. It's
Yeah.
because they would be killed. It
Yeah.
doesn't work like that. You can't just jump into an MMA. You think Aaron would fight me in an MMA fight? Do you really think that would happen? Really? Like, genuinely, do you think that would happen? Never. I don't. It's never happen. It would never ever happen. There's something different about the boxing thing. It's like a safety mechanism. Like, they think they could survive a couple of rounds in a boxing match with big gloves and stay behind the jab and maybe pick their way to a victory type thing. It's less devastating when I land the shot. It's less devastating when I get you in a clinch and I'm elbowing your head in and kicking your calves from underneath you. And it's different. You know what I mean? It's MMA is a devastating sport, which is boxing is a very difficult sport. It's very hard, and it's like it's a game of chess almost. You know what I mean? It's the sweet science, as they call it. You know what I mean? And it is very much so like that. And I'm a big boxing fanatic myself. But MMA, man, is different gravy. It's kill or be killed in there. It's rough. You know what I'm saying? So, it's my background, of course, but I've also boxed my whole life, and I've been in a lot of boxing fights. You know what I mean? And it's just about adaptation, changing it up. But I'm interested in it. I like all the fights that are coming up, and it's good to see, obviously, like the likes of Nate Diaz fighting and all these. Just out of curiosity, see what happens. I'm interested in it. And it's good for the sport. It brings a lot more eyes to the table. It gives me an opportunity now to do something like this. You know what I'm saying? And a crossover event. It's very hard to make good money in MMA, you know what I'm saying? Unless you're at a high level. So, yeah, I like it, man. I think it's good. Anyone hating on it is just fools, man. People love to just hate on everything, man. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
I agree.
People don't like new things. They don't like new things. Like, an MMA first started, everyone hated it. You know what I'm saying? Remember everyone hated MMA at the start?
Yeah, I got called in school for watching MMA because people thought it was fake, like wrestling.
Same, bro. I was the only person that watched it in Dublin years ago when I used to be on Bravo. People were like, UFC's not real, and you're like, man, what do you think this is? They thought it was like the fucking WWF. You know what I mean?
Well, they know now, don't they? It's pretty much the biggest sport in the world. Like, I'd put it alongside soccer. Like, we'll call it soccer for American audiences watching it.
It's definitely bigger. Soccer has a bigger audience, of course, because of the, whatever. It's an easy sport to watch, but at the same time, there's nothing like mixed martial arts in terms of, you know what I mean? Like, it's magnificent. You watch it and you're just in awe. You don't watch a soccer match and you're in awe. It's tit for tat. You may know who wins. It might be 1-0. It's great, but it's not like you watch a high level in mixed martial arts fight, UFC championship fight. You're going to be on the edge of your seat every time. You know what I mean? That's why I love it. It's a beautiful sport, and I just love it. You know what I'm saying? That's it. Passion comes first for me. I just fucking love this sport, I love fighting.
100%. And it's great to see that you're still a fan, because I know a lot of fighters that, because they're so engulfed in it, they can't watch it as a fan because they need that switch off time. But touching on what you were saying before, you're gunning for the UFC, but say if everything goes well, in your mind, everything's going to go well on the Kingpyn show. If they immediately go, look, I know they've got a date in London in August. So they go, right, we're really impressed with you. You sold a lot of tickets. Let's get you on the next one. Or another influencer promotion, Misfits, they come in and say, Kiefer, we've got a big fight for you. Are you going to look at that and go, yeah, straight away? Or are you going to be like, wait out a couple more months, the UFC might come? What? You're just gonna be like, let's keep it rolling, because you like to keep busy.
Yeah, man. Look, listen, man. I done my job in the last fight. I mean, I earned the UFC. There, it's one of those things, man. There's no set criteria to get into the UFC. It's not like you do this, you're in. It's like there's no such thing. You go with 10 in a row, and they're still like, hope. I'm not a big fan of hope, and I get there. It's like, mate, I should be in the fucking UFC. Let's be real here. Like, of Ireland, I'm a free agent. Who else is a bigger name than me in Ireland that's a free agent right now that's not in the UFC? You know what I'm saying? So I should be there. I think so. I've earned it. I deserve it. The whole country's behind me. It's a pity I'm not. It's a pity they didn't sign me. But whatever. Do you know what I'm saying? So what am I supposed to do here? But the way my life works is I go on goals. Yeah. My number one goal in life is to make sure I take care of my family. So if that means I have to, jump on another opportunity to make sure I can earn a living for them and make sure they're looked after, then I will probably do that. Ideally, I would love the UFC to come ringing me and knocking and say, hey, Kiefer, here's a contract. And then it's like, cool, let's go then. I'm good to go. But if they don't, what am I supposed to do? Wait, hope, pray that they sign me? You know what I mean? That doesn't feed me and my family. That doesn't pay my bills. I can't keep hoping. You know what I mean? It's like, I've done my part. I knocked out Cowboy in 1 round. It blew up. It went viral. What am I supposed to do here? You know, have another fight with a UFC veteran and then hope they sign me. You know what I'm saying? So I'm kind of in limbo now. It's like, what do I do? This boxing fight is a boxing fight. It's not a mixed martial arts fight. So it won't even go on my record in any way. So I may as well just do it. I have harder spars in the gym than this is going to be. You know what I mean? I spar high level boxers. Like literally, I'm sparring boxing champions. You know, I sparred a boxing champion the other day. We done 6 rounds and it was like it was a high level spar. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, I'm getting hit more times in the head off this guy for free. I may as well get paid for it. You know what I mean? I may as well go into a tree arena and get a few quid because this sparring doesn't make me money. You know what I mean? So I'm just this is keeping me ticking over, make some money, and then move on, see what happens. Hopefully the UFC is next year. That's the plan still. So, but we'll see what happens. I'll just take it as it comes, man. You know what I'm saying?
You know what's really impressive about you is your mindset, because that was shown clearly in the Alex Oliveira fight. Because after it, you revealed that you had the trouble of your trainer having a really bad injury. He essentially broke both of his legs, from what you said. Was it like the Thursday before the fight or something like that? Like
the night before the weigh-ins, midnight. I was literally in bed cutting weight. I was in bits, dehydrated, and his wife rang me and said, is there any chance you can come into the room? Jimmy's after having a fall. And I was like, what the fuck, man? I walked down, he was in bits, and he detached 2 tendons from his knees. And he was in hospital straight away. He had to get flown home on an air ambulance and emergency surgery. It was really bad, like really fucking bad. It's actually worse than a leg break. A fractured leg isn't as bad as this. They had to do emergency surgery. And but funny enough, he's my boxing coach, and he will be in my corner happily enough for this fight. So he's back on his feet. He's back doing pads. He's back training. He's one of the toughest men I've ever met. You know what I mean? There's no saying no in his head. You know what I mean? So he's back. So he'll be in my corner for this fight. Thank God. Yeah. So it should be good.
Quick turnaround, man. And like I said, the mindset from yourself, because no one wants to hear bad news or just anything like that is distracting when you're going through a weight cut. Because, you know, in the documentary that's on YouTube, no weight cut looks good, but there were times on that video where it looked concerning and it looked difficult. But, you know, you're a true professional. You always make the weight. So when you hear something like that, does doubt creep in? Are you having an internal battle in your head? Like, I don't need this right now. Or are you just like, this is part of my journey. I just need to switch off, tunnel vision. We're going.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, man. You can't, I'm bulletproof. You know what I mean? I believe I am different to everyone. I just believe that. You know what I mean? I'm bulletproof. You can't fuck with me. No, anything can happen on fight day. Anything. You know, I don't care. You know, anything can happen. Nothing is gonna affect me. You know what I mean? It won't rattle me. It won't get into my head. I'm just different to everyone. Nothing will affect me. I've been through so much adversity in my life, anyways. You know what I mean? I come from nothing. Do you know what I mean? I've built myself up to this, what you see now. I've never had a handout in my life. I don't come from a family that's ever had money. I don't come from a family that's successful. Everything that you've seen that I have, I got from my own hard work and sticking to it. So, you know, when you come through what I've been through in my life, a shit like this getting handed to me, it's just I just take it on the chin and march forward. It's like my fighting style. You can hit me with your best shot, I'm gonna take it and I'm gonna keep coming. It doesn't bother me. So that to me was just like a big shot the night before the weight cut. It was like, right, this is shit and it's terrible. But I'm gonna have to put this on the back burner now and I'll focus on this after the fight, because the number one thing here is winning this fight. And although I felt so bad at me coach and I love me coach and he's great and I felt terrible, do you know what I mean? It's a shit situation. I couldn't let it affect me. And the good thing is he knows that. You know, and he even said it to me, don't even worry about me, you fucking just win this fight. And I was like, see, that he's on the same wavelength as me. He knows me. He's like, don't even fucking think about me. You just go in and you fucking win this fight. And that's a true coach too. Do you know what I'm saying? He knew he didn't want me to be affected by this. So it worked both ways. And that's a good coach. You know what I'm saying? So he was more concerned about me being rattled than him being injured. And I was like, Jimmy, I never get rattled. You can't rattle me. Nothing can fuck with me. You know what I'm saying? So I guess just a test. It's part of the journey. You've seen in the documentary as well, the fucking traffic jam.
Yeah, I was going to mention that as well.
That was another thing that was just like, of course this is happening. Like,
you were laughing about it, weren't you? You weren't complaining about it.
I had if I didn't laugh, I'd cry, man. I was like, I'm sitting in the traffic on, of course this is happening. Of course there's a crash right now. And like the promoter was like, Kiefer, you're fighting in 30 minutes. And I was like, mate, I'm on the fucking motorway here. I'm not moving. You know what I mean? We're there for an hour and a half. That was fucking mad carry on as well. But I knew it was just, again, in my head, I thought, this is gonna be funny next week. The
Mm.
people are gonna see this on the video and be like, that did not happen, but it was funny. And even on the video, it didn't even look as bad as it actually was. We were on that motorway for an hour and a half. So on the video, you see it for like maybe a minute. We
Yeah.
were literally, imagine an hour and a half of sitting there. I'm like, for fuck's sake, man. You know, I just wanted to get to the venue, get my hands wrapped, you know, settle in a bit. But it's funny because as soon as I got to the venue, I had to like quick change, wrap the hands, hurry up, like let's speed up the process, get going. They were all waiting. They had to take a break, an intermission. It was funny. Like they took a break and everyone was at the bar for a half an hour waiting on me. Do you know what I mean? To get to the venue.
That's the thing about your mentality as well, because a lot of people could just have that defeatist mentality and just be like, why is this happening to me? But you're just like, I am going to fight tonight. I am going to win. This is just happening. And it's not happening to me. It's just happening for me. And this is just part of the journey. And that's the mentality that you got to have, man. Like, you can't have that, why are these things happening to me? Because then you're already creating excuses, aren't you? And that's for anything in life. It's whether you work in business, whether you work in sport, it goes for anything. It doesn't matter what type of day you're having. You've still got a job to do, haven't you? And it's a great precedent for you to set for other people in other lines of work as well. So I really love that side of you, man, shown in that documentary, 100%.
So, man, it's everything, you know, I'm bulletproof, you know, adversity makes champions. And anytime there's a speed bump or a bit of adversity, you just have to take it as, like, this is just part of the story here. Do you know what I mean? Like, whether it's good or whether it's bad or whatever. People play the victim card, and then they use it as an excuse. And it's like, oh, man, I lost because of it, man. No, you can't do that. You know, and if you want to be that person, you're never going to make it in life. And you're definitely not going to win any fights. Because this fighting game is very difficult, man, and you're going to deal with so much shit, like, coming into a fight, you know what I'm saying? And I'm sure there's going to be stuff next week that I'm probably going to have to deal with. It happens all the time. But I've had injuries, man. I've had broken bones going into fights. Do you know what I mean? That I've had to hide. Do you know what I mean? I've had a detached QL, a detached AC joint a week out from fights. And literally, doctors are telling me, you can't fight. And I'm like, mate, but I have to fight. Do you know what I mean? You don't even understand. Like, I have to fight. And they're like, no, like, you can't lift your arm. And I'm like, yeah, I know, but there could be a way around this. You know, I'm trying to come up with a solution as opposed to listening to his problem. Do you know what I'm saying? And that's just who I am. It's like, you could shoot me on fight day, and I'm like, I'm going to deal with this after the fight. You know what I mean? It's just who I am. I can't explain it, but I've got this far with that mindset, and that's just who I am, and I'll be like that until the day I die, I'm sure. So, you can learn a lot from that bulletproof mindset. You know what I'm saying?
100%. It's a big asset to you, mate. And you touched on it before. I know you didn't really want to talk about it, but the Mayweather fight that Aaron had earlier in February. So I was there for that one, and you know, it's pretty insane to see Mayweather come over here for that fight. Such a random opponent. No disrespect to Aaron, but he's been fighting a lot of guys recently that you wouldn't necessarily put him in there with. So what did you make of Aaron's performance against Floyd, if you've seen the fight?
It was kind of like an open workout. Do you know what I mean? It was like Mayweather, just instead of hitting the pads, he was like, anyone from the audience want to move around with me and watch what I do? That's what it looked like to me. It wasn't a fight. I'm definitely not going to call it a fight. You know what I mean? I'm pretty sure Aaron didn't land anything on Mayweather. Now, I know Mayweather's the best defensive boxer of all time, and I understand he's elusive and he's very hard to hit, and that's fair enough. It almost looked like the two of them are standing in front of each other, posing to get good pictures for after the fight. And that's, you know, Aaron's putting up pictures of him in front of Mayweather going, oh, this is one for the grandkids or some shit. It's like, mate, that's crazy to me. But I've never gone into a fight in my life thinking anything but I'm going to take this man's head off. I'm going to find a way to win. That's it. I'm not going in here for a gimmick. I'm never going in to get cool pictures or anything like that. I get some cool pictures, all right, but it's normally me landing shots and taking heads off. Do you know what I mean? But I don't know. I've seen a more entertaining clips of Mayweather hitting the pads, put it that way. So fair play to him. I'm sure it was a cool experience, as he said multiple times. That's a real fan thing to say. It's not a professional fighter thing to say. If I was fighting Mayweather, I would be training hard and I would be going in with the intent of taking his head off. I know it would be a hard task. He's an amazing fighter, but I wouldn't be going in for anything else. I would be risking it all and going forward and trying my best to take his head off. Aaron didn't do that. Aaron was trying to like not get knocked out in front of people. That it's blatantly obvious if you watch it. His whole sole purpose was don't get knocked out. Don't get knocked out. You know what I mean? You could see it in his demeanor. He was just trying to defend himself to the best of his ability. And he did a poor job. So but yeah, I'm sure it's a cool story for the grandkids. You know what I mean? But let's see what he's gonna tell his grandkids about my fight. Yeah, I'm not sure he's gonna want to tell them that story.
Do you think you'll be cool with Aaron after the fight? I mean, there's no legit animosity at this moment. There might be next week when the presser happens. I don't know what's going to be said, but like you said, you respect anyone that gets in there. So do you think that you'll be relatively cool with Aaron afterwards?
I'm cool with everybody after a fight, man. Do you know what I mean? Win, lose, draw. It's all love. It's all respect. Unless something happens after the fight where there's not respect. But I've had these opponents in the past where I've tried to shake hands. They told me to fuck off, and then it's like fuck you. Do you know what I mean? If you want to go down that route, then fuck you. You know what I'm saying? But like, yeah, no, it's once. Listen, I've lost fights, and I've said like, well done to my opponent. It's a part of the sport. You know what I mean? And we move on from it. I've had opponents that I've beaten and they're gone crazy all of a sudden, but that's just the competitive nature of a fighter. You know what I mean? Some people can't handle a loss. And I've seen that so much over me career and me life. Do you know what I mean? When fighters lose, you see, and the famous Anthony Joshua at that time with Usyk, he was going crazy because he couldn't understand, he couldn't figure out the puzzle, and that was in his passion came out of like he can't believe he lost, and then maybe a day or two later he cools down and he rolls his eyes and says, "Ah, fuck, I can't believe I reacted that way." That's just because he's a super competitive, passionate man about fighting and he loves it that much. I understood it in the moment. Why he was going crazy, and the whole crowd was like, "Wow, disrespect." I get it, I understand it. You know what I'm saying? But after this, I don't give a fuck. I'm sure we'll fist bump, and he can tell his grandkids about getting knocked out by the great big Daddy Crosby. But that's what is what it is. See what happens. See what happens.
Your brother Kian is fighting Conor Tierney, like I mentioned. What's that like going to war with your brother, and what do you make of Conor Tierney as well? Because I've worked with him a few times, and he's sort of cut from the same cloth as you guys. He's very well spoken, likes to sell a fight. He's a good bare knuckle fighter, and I actually think if he wasn't going to war with Kian, that you guys would get on very well. So, but I know he's gonna, like yourself, he's gonna have a lot to say at the press conference next week. So I want to know what you make of him as well.
I don't know him, to be honest. I'd never heard of him until this fight. The whole thing was Keane was supposed to fight Norman Park. That was the whole thing. So this lad wasn't even in the picture. It was me versus Aaron, Keane versus Norman, and then Norman shit his pants and then fucked off. And then next of all, this lad got slotted in. So I don't know what happened with that, but he's a bare knuckle boxer, good lad. I mean, Keane is one of the best strikers I've ever seen. You know what I mean? And again, it's one of these things. I think people are judging us on our MMA fights, and that's the thing. Like, it's a different sport. Yeah, like it's like rugby and soccer. Do you know what I mean? Both of them have a ball, but they're very different sports. Mixed martial arts and boxing is two different sports. People haven't seen me boxing, so they're just going to assume I fight like an MMA fighter. That's great because that puts me in a different bracket of like, let them assume what they want until they see what's up. Keane's the same. They're looking at his MMA fights, I'm sure, and he's a great leg kicker and a great elbows and knees guy. He's a fucking high level boxer. Do you know what I mean? Like a very high level boxer. And me and him have both had boxing fights in gyms and clubs, like hard fights, you know what I'm saying, off people that people just didn't see. There's no footage of this. So people just assume it didn't happen. And we've been boxing forever. I've been boxing since I'm a teenager, and so is he. So we have a lot of experience with the big gloves too. So, but yeah, no, in fairness, like, and Conor Tierney's a real fighter. Keane's a real fighter. I'm a real fighter. I think we're the real fighters on the show here. Do you know what I'm saying? And then a lot of just obviously YouTubers and fucking porn stars and all sorts, or OnlyFans boards or whatever.
It's a crazy mix, isn't it, man?
It's a mad mix. But listen, mate, we're all gonna tune in. I'm sure everybody's always be glued when the porn stars are from. I'm sure you'll be ringside looking nice, and you'll be nice and close ringside anyway.
Fair play to them, mate, because they go for it as well. They go for it big time.
Yeah, listen, we're all watching, we're all tuned in, man. Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? So fair play to them, mate. I don't know. It's a mad situation, but Keane's gonna do a fantastic job, I'm sure, and we're gonna shock a lot of people with our boxing skills. You know what I'm saying? And I'm just looking forward to it, to be honest. I'm excited. I haven't been this excited for a fight in a while. I'm excited to just get out there and box. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want to feel the boots on my feet, the canvas on my feet, move around and just relish the moment and enjoy it. You know what I mean? And just be in the tree arena again. And it's gonna be crazy. Yeah, it's gonna be a buzz.
You know what I think would suit you at some point, and it would probably be towards the end of your career, is bare knuckle. I just think you're built for that stuff.
I've been offered already, man, from a lot of people. Yeah, bare knuckle, and it's like, two reasons. One, I'm too good looking, and yeah, because you get caught up in that, and then two, I'm a mixed martial artist, so it's like crossing over to that now. It's like inevitable that you're going to take some damage, whether it's
Yeah.
to your hand or to your face. You know, yeah, I don't know. I'm interested in it, of course. I'd love to do it and stuff at the right time, but the money would have to be right and the timing would have to be right for that. But listen, there's been offers already on the table the past few years about it. A friend of mine, actually, Mike Goldberg. You know Mike Goldberg?
Yep, yep.
He rang me a couple of weeks ago and asked me if I want to fight in London. There's one in London next week or 2 weeks, is it?
Is it the big
BKFC?
Okay, yeah.
They asked for me and they were looking for me to fight and step in and stuff. And I said I have this fight, and he was like, "Oh, they're really interested." So I mean, that's there. There's so many options. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not stuck for a fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not stuck for a scrap. So we'll see what happens. You know what I mean? We'll see what happens.
You know, we mentioned the UFC before. They're long overdue to come back to Ireland, and with the rise of Ian Gary as well, it just makes sense when they do come back that you should be on that card. Do you see that happening? You fighting on that card, and do you know Ian Gary quite well as well? And what do you make of his rise as well?
Don't know him at all, to be honest. Never met him. No, but yeah, if it comes back to Ireland, I should be on it, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, like, let's be real here, of course. You know what I mean? If it's in the Tree Arena, man, it'd be criminal if I wasn't on it. That could be an option as well. Just hold off, you know what I mean, and wait. But I'm not the type of guy that likes to hold off and wait. You know what I'm saying? I need to stay busy, man. I want to fight, and I need to have a contract signed and a fight coming up. I love that. There's nothing like it. I'm a very self-motivated man anyway. But when you sign a contract and you have a fight booked, just that feeling is just nothing like it. I'm putting that work in, getting them rounds in, eating clean, going to bed early. It's just that routine suits me to the ground. That turn into soldier mode, and yeah, I'd love to get in there soon, hopefully. So look, only time will tell. Right now, my main focus is this boxing match. And I haven't even been watching MMA fights. That's how focused I am on this. All I've been doing is boxing on the brand. You know what I mean? Everything is boxing. I haven't even been talking about MMA. So that's just who I am. I go blinkers on and I'm just, tunnel vision. So get this one in, a good win in the ring, and then the future will take care of itself after this, man. You know what I mean?
100%. And obviously, I know you're close with McGregor as well. Do you see him going into the influencer scene at some point? Because you don't see him doing it. He doesn't need to, does he?
He's the biggest combat sport athlete of all time. Why would you want to? You know what I'm saying? I'm not the biggest. I'm not even that big, really. And I'm a small fish in a huge pond here. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm big in Ireland and stuff, and I'm making me name or whatever. I'm doing my thing, but like, he's the biggest of all time. So unless the check was mental. Him and Mayweather are the ones that started the crossover thing anyway. I mean, someone obviously got the spark of, like, MMA versus boxing, and then they just ran with it with like influencers and stuff, and that became a thing then. But yeah, I'd like to see him and Mayweather again. That'd be cool, to be honest.
Happen.
I think that needs to happen. I think it'd be cool. I mean, honestly, I think Conor done amazing in that fight. I mean, he really did. It was deadly, and the build-up was fucking unbelievable. You know what I mean? I'd love to see that again, to be honest. You know what I mean?
I asked Floyd about it. He didn't really want to talk about it. After the Chalmers fight, I asked Floyd if he'd want to rematch McGregor, because I said to him, in my opinion, that was the best build-up to a fight ever. It was absolutely awesome.
Deadly. Everyone was like, man, I was tuned. I was locked into that one. Yeah, like, that was deadly. I'd love to see that again, to be honest. But I just want to see I'd love to see Conor fighting again. Every time Conor fights, man, there's no buzz like it. Do you know what I mean? It's the best build-up type of fighter ever. Do you know what I mean? It's so exciting when he's fighting. So whether it's MMA or boxing, whatever, I'm sure like his return is gonna be incredible. Do you know what I mean? So
when he's been around you backstage, I remember it was a famous fight in Bama where that kind of put you on the map, didn't it? Where he was embracing you after that fight. When he's around you backstage before a fight, how much you feed off his energy, because it really is infectious, even through a TV screen. But when you're around him in person, you're just like, bloody hell, this guy's self-belief is absolutely ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, like, he's so inspiring. Like, look what he's doing. And we're cut from the same cloth. We come from very similar places in Dublin. He comes from a place called Crumlin. We come from the inner city. He's, it's a very similar place. We're working class families, and we come from fuck all. We come from nothing. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, you can either get your trade, get your job, or you can maybe pick up a sport and just go all in. And we both picked up fighting, and the areas we grew up in, you had to know how to fight and defend yourself. And then we became kind of obsessed with the idea of not only being able to defend yourself, but being like one of the best fighters. You know what I mean? That was my mindset, his mindset. And obviously, when I joined SBG and I started training him, this is before he even won a Cage Warriors belt. I really seen the work ethic he put in, and I couldn't believe how hard he worked. And I just kind of, learned from him. And then when he got into the UFC, I was so motivated to be like, wow, I can do this. You know what I mean? He's done it. The path is there now. And I just kind of copied his, work ethic, and just keep showing up to the gym, put the fucking work in, get down, do that morning class, get down, do the evening class, do that every day. You know what I mean? Work harder than anyone, do extra rounds, and that's really all it is, man. There's no secret to this. It's like, you want to be the best at something, show up early and be the last to leave. Put more rounds in than anyone else. Pick the hardest round in the gym and do it with him. Keep working hard. If you're doing 5 sprints, make sure you do 10. It's like, there's no secret. Just keep working hard. And then if you do keep doing that, eventually over time, you will be really good at it. It doesn't have to be sport. It can be anything. Do you know what I mean? It's like anything. You just keep that mentality of like, I'm going to work harder than anyone. You're going to be really, really good at it. You know what I mean? And yeah, he obviously took off like a fucking rocket and just took over the world, really. Do you know what I mean? So I'm still motivated by what he's doing, and I'm yet to accomplish what I want to accomplish, and hopefully I'll get there. Do you know what I mean? In the bigger light. And again, this is a good opportunity to get my brand out there, increase my brand, cross over to this boxing world, and who knows? You know what I mean? I could even have a career in professional boxing too. So yeah, the world is my oyster. You know what I mean? See what happens after this.